In this class, we're looking at basic Volcada technique. We start off with an exercise, just our hands. And I'm going to step backwards, still supporting her, and she's going to lean forward from the ankles. Notice I'm a little leaning forward as well, so we're sort of counterbalancing one another. But Shelly's very straight, so she's not pulled in or out at the waist or in at the waist. She's straight and coming straight into me. So she's not coming down onto me, it's in. And then I take little steps, come bring her back onto her axis, and then do it again. So little steps out, little steps back in. Now we want my weight to be on my left and hers on her right. And as we do this, her free leg is going to drift forward. And then back. So we're starting to build some trust here. A lot of women feel scared to let that leg float forward, but as we point out, there's no weight on it. It's completely free. And the worst that could possibly happen here, if I were to completely disappear, is she just does that. So there's really nothing to be afraid of with the Volcada. Just let that leg float forward, all of the weight's on the back leg, and then back straight forward onto the axis. Now, next step, we're going to let the leg float forward. I'm going to take a little step to my left. Notice what Shelly's leg did. It came with me. So her leg is attached to our body movement. So there, she came with me. Now, if I come back on the axis, she crosses. So we've got a couple of things happening here. One of them is compression. And so now we move to a close embrace and do this exercise again. And now what we should be feeling in the embrace is not so much on this side, not so much on the open side, but here on the close side. We should be feeling compression in the embrace. So she should be really trusting me and coming in. So it's not going to be here in the shoulder, hanging on me. Again, it's this feeling of coming in. And even though this is where most of the contact is happening, her intention is coming into my center. My center is where my balance is. So if she puts all of her energy here on the outside, then it's going to pull us over. But if she brings that energy in towards my center, then we should be nice and balanced. And very easy to support her weight here. Come back up straight, back onto her axis. And again, off, a little to the side, and then forward. So it's a nice exercise to begin looking at Volcadas. Then, we looked at taking this into our dance. And start with a side step. Do a little boleo around. So again, right here I'm on my left. I switch to my right and go a little around Shelly. So there I'm moving to my right leg. Now as I shift right back to my left, I'm just going to take it a little farther out, hit the Volcada, pull my feet together, and then step back forward. Couple of things to look out for. For the guys, one of the biggest problems is making too big of a step here. See there, I've sort of invaded her space and then we sort of fall and stumble out of it. I need to give her room to cross. So see where my foot ends up. At that same point of the cross. I want to give her time. I want to feel that she's crossed, changed rate, and then we exit out. Oftentimes, guys will rush the exit. So this will happen. Just rush right on out. No, let that be a moment of a breath, changing rate, and then a smooth exit. The other thing we're going to look out for is as we initiate the Volcada is not letting this shoulder go. So if we look at it from this angle here, right here, I don't want to turn this shoulder. I want to keep this flat. So here I go around, but my embrace just comes back to the line of dance. It doesn't go back. Women, pay attention to Shelley's feet here. Here, she's pivoting. And now look at where she's pivoted to, here. And that she's still coming to my center. Also, for the women, don't collect too quickly. At this moment, her foot should be forward. And it comes back at the rate that I'm bringing her back onto her axis. So her foot moves at the same rate as our bodies are moving back forward. So it drifts out and then comes back. Don't pull that foot in too quickly. Also, don't rush this here. The guys, I want to get my foot out of her way and then lead the cross. A lot of times women will feel the Volcada happening and they'll rush it. And what ends up happening is, again, from this angle, is she ends up wrapping around my leg, even though I was trying to do a Volcada. Now, if I wanted a leg wrap there, then I would do almost the same thing I'm doing, only leave my leg there. So there, I'm leaving the leg versus removing the leg. So it could be a problem on both sides. The men might be leaving their leg there too long, and the women might be rushing and getting their leg so that they run into his too quickly. So both, a Volcada should take a little bit of time. And we also talked about the length of the man's back step. On a crowded dance floor, look at where my left leg is. It just barely moved back. I didn't take a big back step. We can do Volcadas very small. Or really big. But for the really big ones, I'd say only if you really know you've got enough room to do them. Keep them small and compact until you get very comfortable with doing them and that you're good at navigating the dance floor. Then we looked at getting a Volcada on the other side of the embrace. So this one that we've been doing is a bit more circular. Then we looked at a more linear one, where I'm just doing walking ochos, so I'm not inviting her to pivot. And then when I go to the open side, I give a little impulse, freeing up that leg, and then a Volcada. So walking ochos, impulse, Volcada, exit. In here, I'm going back and at an angle, and I let a beat of the music happen, and then exit. So again, don't rush it. Let this moment here happen. What I mean by rushing would be this. Too fast. Let that happen. That's the real, if we said there's a real theme to the class, it's that compression and that moment when we're both off axis, leaning into one another. That's the feeling that we're looking for. So that's the moment. And we can do it on the other side. I think it's easier to the open side here, but we can also do it on the other side. I like doing it over there, but it's not quite as natural a movement. One of the most important things here is distinguishing between the pivoting ochos and the walking ochos. So here, I'm actually giving some Shelley room to pivot, and I'm giving some circular energy to the embrace. So she's taking that time to pivot. Now, I would not do the linear Volcadas from here because it's going to end up looking like that to the side. It's going to end up feeling more like a fall. No, I'm not going to turn my upper body. I'm just going to walk on both sides of her. And then get the linear Volcada. And then, of course, we looked at everything can be put together with everything else in tango. So I could lead this one and a little circular around. So those two steps could be put together.